How's it going, everybody? Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific 3 Eastern, Sundays 3 Pacific 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it is Thursday here on the show, and you know what that means? We got a lot of news today. Holy smokes. Last night was 3 hours of AEW, 2 hours of Dynamite, hour of Collision. All of that leading to Wrestle Dream on Saturday, where we have 9 matches announced for the main show and 4 more for the Tailgate Brawl. We'll tell you about that and how Andrade plays into that and what is going on with Andrade. We now know. We'll tell you about that. Plus, we've got a bunch of other news as well, including Jacob Fatu, who is going to be out of action for an extended period of time, and we really don't know why, but we'll tell you about that. Update on JC Jane, which is good news, and an update on Fallon Henley, which is bad news. Roosh was injured on the show last night, but managed to uninjure himself in a wild story. Vince McMahon, of course, was involved in yet another reckless driving incident. This guy's been a bad driver for as long as I've been hearing Vince McMahon stories, and this was another one. Got Chris Bay update, which is very good news. Got a new Evolved champion, thank the Lord. Update on Taz's shoulder surgery, and of course the Dynamite report. So a lot to get into here today. We're going to get into it after the break. Lance Storm is joining us. If you want to text us today, you're welcome to do so, 425-780-7566. That is 425-780-7566. F4WOnline at gmail.com. F4W Online, Threads, Instagram, and Cameo at Bryan Alvarez X and Blue Sky. Back in a moment with more Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Well, we reviewed SmackDown yesterday, Tom, and you don't even get SmackDown. You're very, just, you know how you are.
Fine. Whatever. I don't care. Whatever.
That's your impression of me?
Yeah, that's my impression of you.
Wow.
So what are we, at least, I hope you at least watch a SmackDown main event.
I watched the entire show.
Okay, because there's a lot of people that still like your review, Tom.
I went on the board, and I saw like 2 people.
Yeah, do you go on, you go on Twitter?
Yeah, I do go on Twitter,
You read my emails?
I do go on
the
Twitter.
The text messages? I mean...
Do you go on Twitter? Because if you do,
unfortunately, yes.
You would have seen one of the greatest moments in world history.
In world history, really.
World history. Frank Tate walked away the victor of the fight, but he walked away an even bigger winner when it comes to life. This man completed what I would say is the best high five, the best dap up in the history of the galaxy. This man had his dog. His dog. And when I say dog,
barely a dog.
I mean D-O-G and D-A-W-G. This was a dog, baby. The dog was so proud. You can see just the elation in that dog's face. He threw that paw up. He let it hang for a few moments, and then he brought it down for the dap.
Tom's not even doing this justice. Everyone has seen a dog,
Listen.
like you put your hand out and the dog like puts his paw up to shake hands. This freaking dog goes, ah, ha-bah! Like, what? That was more than a high five. I don't even know what you would even term that. He dunked. He dunked that man.
30 million views on this clip. And that is about 1/10 of what it should have. So if you haven't seen it, you deserve it. Treat yourself. Go to my Twitter. Watch Frank Tate high five his dog.
No, he did not high five his dog.
The dog high fived him.
His dog high fived him. Yes. He just wanted like a, just boom. And this dog was like, no way, brother. You knock that man out. I'm going to give you a big time dunking high five from way up high. You go high five, up high, down low, too slow. This was an up high. Guy should have pulled his hand away.
It's the best thing you've ever seen.
Man, too slow, Joe. Yeah, it was pretty good. Not going to lie. I liked it. Back on the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Holy smokes, the chat today. Listen, I get it. Some of you hate WWE, okay? You're always looking for something to get mad about. But listen to me, okay? So what happened with Andrade is that Andrade got fired from WWE, and the initial story that we heard, which apparently was legitimate because he ended up on AEW TV like the next week, was that he was fired and they didn't care, just get out of here, okay? So now it comes out that I don't know if he showed up or I don't know what it was, but now they are trying to hold him to the terms of his deal. So the terms of the TKO contracts, and I believe this was in the prior contracts as well, but for sure it's in the new contracts, is that if you are fired with cause, they are going to try to hold you to a 1-year non-compete. Fired for cause or a breach of contract, okay? So, what they're trying to do is not allow him to work for a year. Now, let me make something abundantly clear, okay? I don't believe for a second that this would hold up in court, okay? I don't believe for 1 second if Andrade or Tony Khan or whoever challenges this, that it's going to hold up in court because you can't prevent somebody from working for an entire year. It doesn't matter if it's in the contract. I don't believe for a second that this would hold up if they challenge this in court, okay?
And Brian?
Yes.
It was in contracts before TKO. When I went back in 2019, there was if you were fired for cause, 1 year no compete, because I asked Johnny about it. I'm like, 1 year sounds excessive, and he reiterated that that's standard now, but that obviously you have to have been fired for cause or breach, and since I'm like the last person to worry about that, I went, okay, whatever. But when I was let go in the pandemic, they were obligated to pay me for the 90-day no-compete because it wasn't for cause, it was due to the pandemic, and then they paid me for 90, which was nice. But yeah, had I screwed up and they fired me for cause, there was a 1 year in it.
Yes. Now, everybody is looking at this from the WWE is horrible side, and no one is looking at this as to why that clause is in the contract, okay? So listen, let me repeat. I don't think that this will hold up in court. It sounds, I mean, they've tried this before. Actually, the one with Brock was preposterous. Like, he wanted to leave, and they granted him his release with a 10-year non-compete in combat sports. He took it to court, and obviously he won. So the reason that the contract has this is not because WWE are a bunch of horrible, evil people.
No.
It's because if you work for WWE, okay, let's say that you're Drew McIntyre, all right? Drew McIntyre signs a 3-year contract with WWE. You know, he's all excited to go to work, okay? So they use him for 6 months. He doesn't like the way he's being used. The grass appears to be greener on the other side. He wants to go to AEW. Well, he committed to 3 years, but he doesn't want to wait 3 years to go to AEW. He wants to go right now. 6 months into the contract, the 3-year agreement that he signed. So he figures, well, there's only one way out. And he beats the living heck out of somebody backstage. He hits him with a pipe, and they fire him. And then the next Wednesday, he shows up on Dynamite. That's what they're trying to avoid here. The idea of a contract is you sign a 3-year deal, and yes, obviously, in any company, they're going to try to make the contract one-sided. But you realize that this, stuff like this happened. They had a lot of guys in AEW that didn't want to be there. They couldn't wait to leave and go back to WWE. So the solution for those guys is, hey, I'm gonna beat up Sammy Guevara backstage. I'm gonna hit him with a water bottle or whatever. They'll fire me and I'll be on Raw on Monday. They're trying to avoid that by having if you are fired, no, you can't just go work for somebody else the next day. You agreed to be here for X amount of time, and so that's the situation.
And it has to be fired for cause.
For cause, yes. Not just like, oh, we're done. We're like, it's not a situation where, oh, we got nothing for Andrade. Well, let's fire him or whatever. Andrade had to do something that was a breach of contract or a reason for the company to fire him for this to go into effect. If you're Drew McIntyre and, you work for 6 months, a year, or even Ridge Holland, which actually he wasn't fired, but let's just say that Ridge Holland was fired. You can't just fire Ridge Holland because you don't want anything to do with the guy and then say you also can't work anywhere for a year. That doesn't fly. If you fire him just because you're done using him or whatever, like he can go wherever he wants. Or you could do the 90-day if that's in or whatever. But this is specifically for people who are trying to get out of their contract by getting themselves fired. They don't want them to just be able to walk to the opposition by doing something with cause to necessitate them firing you. That's why it's in there. Not because they're horrible people. They may be horrible people, but that's beside the point of why this is in the contract. For all I know, I should ask around. It may be in the AW contract as well. I mean, wouldn't be surprised. I mean, this is not something exclusive to WWE, that if you were fired with cause, you can't just go work for the opposition the next day. It's I think it's a regular thing in business. It would be an open
invitation for havoc backstage.
Yes. Oh, you don't like it here? All right, beat somebody up. You can work on Dynamite Wednesday. They don't want that to happen, obviously. All right, then we have the situation with Jacob Fatu. Body Slam reported Thursday he's dealing with a, quote, non-wrestling-related injury that will keep it out of the ring for, quote, an extended period of time, could be considerably into next year.
Holy crap.
Non-wrestling-related injury that will keep him out possibly considerably into next year. That does not sound good.
No.
I don't know what it is, but he was scheduled. He has not wrestled since September 12th, so over a month since he had his last match. Set to take on Drew McIntyre for this Friday, and I guess we'll see what happens, but sounds like the match isn't happening. So, I don't know what it is. But all the best to him. Yes, absolutely.
Sucks.
Dude, there have been so many injuries. So, we talked about the JC Jane injury. She was wrestling in a house show, October 9th, and she went down and grabbed her quad, and she couldn't make it to the back on her own, and they had to help her to the back. So, as it turns out, it appears she's all right. So, they did the NXT show on Tuesday, if you guys watched that show. Like, she was all over the show, walking, moving, whatever. That was a taped show. That was before she got hurt. But, they were setting up the Battle Royal, where the winner is going to end up getting a shot at JC Jane at Halloween Havoc. It appears that match is going to take place. It appears she's fine. However, on a different house show, I believe it was a different house show, they were doing a match, and Fallon Henley was doing a spot. It was like a tag spot where they, I guess, tossed her into a Soul Snatcher, and unfortunately, it was mistimed, and Soul did the Soul Snatcher and landed right on Fallon's head. And apparently, I haven't seen the video, but apparently the video's out there. Apparently it looks really bad, and she is now out of action. So all the best to her.
Yes, absolutely.
Because now we've got another injury. Then we had Rush, which last night they're doing this tag match, and this dude jumps into the ring to make a save, and his knee pad gets caught on the ropes, and he trips and falls and lands on his arm. And he immediately is like, he's in pain. And this guy doesn't sell nothing. He's like hurting. And, he does a spot or whatever, and then I can't remember who it was. Somebody goes to him, and they're going to do a spot or whatever, and he's just like, he's not doing anything. He's just like messing with his arm and his fingers. I couldn't tell if it was his wrist, his fingers, or whatever. So, turns out this dude dislocated his elbow.
Ouch.
He's like in intense pain. So, they have a spot that they're going to do after the match with Hangman. This dude pops his elbow back into the socket and gets in and does the whole thing. It was crazy, dude. If you watch this, it's like, how did this guy get back in the ring? He popped his own elbow back in, apparently. So, I think he's got a match tonight in Mexico. And apparently he's going to do it. So, Back in a moment. Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Warner Brothers Discovery announcement came out, and the gist of it is Dynamite and Collision are going to remain on Wednesday and Saturday. Rampage appears to be history, which we had thought. Dynamite and Collision is stream live on Max if you're a U.S. subscriber.
$555 million over 3 years, $185 million a year. Average $185 million a year. It starts lower. The middle year would probably be about that, and the third year would be up from that, and then the fourth year would be way up.
Big question for me is, are all the archives up? Or going to be up? Can I go back 5 years ago and watch all of the Dynamites in order?
I believe that they will be. Yeah, this won't be till January. I don't know that as a fact, but they're putting archival programming on, so there will be, I don't know if everything will be up, but there will be, I mean, I expect that everything will be up, yeah. I had a little announcement I wanted to make. A lot of people got really exposed, when this.
Oh no, yeah, save that for the Garrett Show.
I mean,
save that one.
Why? You don't want any heat from these people?
No, but I've heard it multiple times.
I've been sitting here playing punching bag for these clowns for years, and I mean, this was great. This was quite the week of vindication between that Vince McMahon documentary and this deal. Yes, for me. It was an even bigger vindication for Tony Khan. Not that, it's even though they're completely different topics. The guy who spent 5 years with all these clowns calling him a money mark, and they went through a couple of years in money losses, which a lot of businesses do. And they could afford it, but the long-term goal was always to make this thing profitable. So at the end of the day, here we are, and with this deal, this is going to be the second most profitable pro wrestling company in the history of pro wrestling, and all of these people that and it's like, I'm not saying you should have figured that much out, but in the last year, it kind of was leaning this way. And even if it wasn't going to be the second most profitable company in the history of pro wrestling, it would end up being profitable, which once you're profitable, the term money mark goes out the window. So anyway, this is like complete vindication. Jericho actually went on the show. I mean, it was almost like he was reading my mind with that line about, boy, did all these experts come off as being really stupid and out of touch. I don't know if he used those words, but they were. Because it's not like this came out of nowhere. We've been talking about this for months. I've been telling people. I've been telling them. I go you better frickin' pivot, because you're going to look like fools if this deal comes in the way it looks it's going to come in. And none of them could stop. They're so deep into it. They've been lying to their podcast listeners for God knows how long. So anyway, there's a lot more to that. But anyway, I did want to get that off my chest.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Lance Storm joining us here today. Yes, Roosh is a complete maniac.
He's a tough son of a gun.
And somebody told me he's actually on his way for this match in Mexico. So he's doing it. I can't imagine it.
He'll put a neoprene sleeve on and just go out there.
Yes. So Vince McMahon... we used to have Court Bauer on the show all the time, and he would tell these Vince McMahon driving stories. This guy's just a maniac. So we got another reckless driving court case.
You got a pat on the wrist.
Yeah.
Not even a slap.
It was determined as long as Vince stays out of trouble for 1 year, his charges will be dismissed. He was accepted into a pretrial rehab program where his charges are set to be fully expunged in 2026, and he does not have to enter any kind of guilty plea. But he will probably have to save his money because he's got to make a $1,000 charitable donation.
No.
And only drive if properly licensed and insured. God, can you imagine if Vince with all that money was too cheap to pay for insurance?
No, he's only allowed to drive if he's properly insured and licensed? That's everybody.
Well, yeah. He was facing charges of reckless driving, following too closely. His Bentley rammed into the back of a vehicle, collided with a median wooden beam guardrail. Third vehicle also.
He could have killed people.
The person whose car was struck by McMahon's called it a, quote, horrific crash. Said she was mostly doing fine physically, but felt lucky to have survived. Surprised she hasn't,
If she's smart, she will.
Yeah.
I would imagine Vince has blown more on lunch.
McMahon did not
$1,000.
speak to reporters, but paused briefly to sign autographs and take pictures with fans before going into court, and again after leaving, before he was led to a waiting Cadillac SUV. I hope someone else was driving. God. We got good news on Chris Bay. It's been nearly 1 year since he suffered a broken neck. Initially doubtful he would ever walk again, but he's back on his feet, has now been discharged from physical therapy, told Chris Jericho that he is able to live an independent life where he can do things on his own. Completely independent. I can dress myself. I can feed myself. One of the things I struggled with last year was my grip strength. As far as opening things, I couldn't open bottles and stuff. Still have trouble depending on the type of bottle opening things, but I can drive myself now. I can pretty much do everything I need to do on the day-to-day basis. He cannot wrestle yet. His goal is to just wake up and feel good in life. He says he believes he will be able to wrestle again one day, even if it's just one more match, but he does know it will be no time soon. I truly look at it like I'm going to let time tell me. I'm going to let my body tell me. I think when I think about wrestling, it's not so much about going back to wrestling, getting back in wrestling, as much as it is finishing my story my way, whether that means one more match, one more program, whatever it is. He wants to focus on having a family someday. So all very good news.
Yeah, he was at Bound for Glory, and he looks fantastic.
Yeah, he came out and
Moves
did the
great.
attendance.
Yeah, he looks fantastic and moves really well. Most of us old-time wrestlers move slower than him now.
I did hear he was moving really, really well, so that's great. So I guess, like, the big issue is just grip, you know? I mean, everything he was talking about having to do by himself, like, put on clothes, that'd all be grip-related, I would presume. So that's good news. And then in completely unrelated, but I also find this to be good news, we have a new Evolve Women's Champion, and dang it, it's Kendall Gray. Have you seen her?
I think she did a show for TNA. I think I've met her.
You know what her big advantage is? She wasn't a gymnast.
So they're not making her do meaningless
So
flips
she
all the time.
doesn't do all of this stupid stuff. She was a Actually, she did all sorts of things. She did wrestling and jiu-jitsu and she. It's funny because like Dave was on a couple shows ago. He was like, "Yeah, but she's really small." I was like, "What does that have to do with anything?" Like, if you're taller than Zelina, you're a giant.
Roxanne Perez is not a giant. She's
Zelina.
fantastic.
I mean, Jiminy Christmas.
Alexa Bliss.
Alexa, yeah. Kendall is not smaller than all of them. But, man, she is so good.
She's probably bigger than Ray.
I don't know about that.
Taller, maybe.
Maybe. But anyway, she is a great... I mean, for her level of experience, she's 24 years old. For her level of experience, she is really, really good. And, I was watching, and Dave agreed too, and Tom. The best woman in that women's battle royal on NXT was actually Kendall Gray. And she looked great. Everybody was into her. I think she got more of a reaction than anyone else in the match from beginning to end. Of course, they beat her because they're incompetent. But at least
she's in her 20s, Brian.
Yeah, she's she's 24, so she only has 6 years before they can really give her a push. But anyway, she's a new Evolve champion, and I think she's going to be something.
Well, good for her.
I'm actually stunned. I don't want to mention...
Don't jinx anything, Brian.
No, it's not that. It's just, we haven't talked to you about that TNA pay-per-view. And I know you work there, so I don't want to put you on the spot. But, like, Kendall Gray is better than anyone. Like, that indie match, and golly. And I like, I got nothing against Indy Hartwell. She seems like a really, really nice lady. And Kalani, I mean, some of you may not remember because I've been really down on Kalani of late, but like I was her biggest fan when she started. I wanted to spiritually take her under my wing because I saw so much potential. But then it's just, oh, you were a gymnast? You ever thought about doing a stunner into the splits? And all this other nonsense? And always just like, Lance, tell me what you think about this, okay? Because I hear all these idiots on the internet. They don't get it. So listen. Remember Bam Bam Bigelow?
Yes, he was a friend of mine.
Big fat guy, okay?
Large man.
I mean, am I wrong? He was big and fat, okay? And like he was great, and he'd do these cool moves, and then to demonstrate his agility as a big fat guy, he would throw a cartwheel to like show off, right?
Yes.
Great. That's awesome, okay? EO. You're doing a match with EO, blah, blah, blah. You whip her in. Boom. She has right off back handspring. Shows off, and then boom, hits you with a move. Great. I got no problem with that. Hey, you're Will Ospreay. You know, you're really great. Everyone's on the floor. You're going to do a moonsault off the post. You're going to do a full twist as you do it. Wipe them everybody out. Great. I don't have any problem with a little bit of pizzazz, razzle-dazzle in your matches, okay? But I hate it when the razzle-dazzle is part of a move that would be better if you didn't do it. Bro, why would you do a stunner where you drop into the splits? You're trying to hurt your opponent and also potentially tear your own groin. Why would you do this? It doesn't make any sense. You know, when you randomly throw you're going to flip into this or you're going to cartwheel into this move or whatever, it's like, why would you do that? It would be so much easier. And then, you know, okay, she's a gymnast. Well, unlike Bam Bam Bigelow, it's not impressive when Kalani Jordan does a cartwheel. She's a gymnast. It's like if you had a big fat guy and he's demonstrating his agility, that's cool. Like Kalani, you know what Kalani is? I don't understand why they don't do this. Kalani's a gymnast. Okay? You know what gymnasts all have in common? They're really freaking strong. So you know what I would find more impressive than Kalani doing a random cartwheel into a stunner or whatever? If, like, she was one of those people that did, like, the deadlift slow motion German, because she probably can. You see someone is small, like, the magic is when you see someone do something you don't expect. Seeing a gymnast do a flip is not something that you don't expect, okay? Seeing a small person demonstrate immense strength, okay? Like, Bandito's not that small, but he's pretty small. And you see that guy do something crazy with Brody, and you're like, oh my God, that was incredible. You see a big fat guy, and he does an awesome cartwheel or something, you're like, whoa, holy smokes. You got to be surprised by it. And, like, they take these gymnasts, and it's like, you're a gymnast? All right, well, you're going to do this move, and we're going to add a whatever to it. And it's like, great, I don't like that stuff. It doesn't impress me. It makes the move look dumb. It takes away from their ability to work, because instead of working, they're having to just do some silly razzle-dazzle. That's going to be my new word in the match. I just don't like it. Like, learn how to work, and then find a way to make yourself special with your work. Whether it's extra strength because you're little, or extra agility because you're big. That's what's special. Sorry. Anyway, I was just going to say Kendall Gray had a better performance than any of the women on that TNA show. But you don't have to comment. I don't want to put you on the spot. I've talked about it enough. Now,
yeah, I'm with you on the split stunner, though. It seems less impactful than dropping to your butt completely.
Yeah, why would you do that? It doesn't even make sense. Like, a move needs to at least make some sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
All right. Well, anyway, Taz got shoulder surgery. Successful shoulder surgery. Apparently, I think they had a list here. It was like he needed both knees and both shoulders replaced. And blames most of it on lifting heavy. Because he was small and wanted to be big. I know that story. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Granny, what's happening? What do we got for the wrestling report here today?
Talk or something.
Talk or something.
So Niven comes in, jumps on Bailey with her overweight body, a couple of times. Doesn't mind playing dirty. Leaves Bailey on the mat in lots of pain. I found this book. It's called Limericks from the Heart.
Is this a Lanny Poffo book?
Let me finish this one. This guy's name is Lanny Poffo. And there are 335 pages in here. Can you guess what it's about?
Smoking.
Oh,
Son
Hey,
the
yeah.
wizard.
have you read it?
We read it every week for about 6 months.
When I first started.
Wow.
Why don't we start reading some questions, and we'll see if we can spur some answers out of Granny. Shall we try?
No, I don't think so.
Let's try.
Then you'll really find out how dumb I am.
Granny, did you know there was a wrestling bear?
No, and I don't care.
All right.
It's a bear that wrestled people.
I still don't care.
Okay.
Is Granny frozen?
Granny, you frozen?
No, I'm ready to read my report.
Your picture is frozen.
It is
Yeah. Or you're doing a great job as a ventriloquist.
Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa, or whatever his last name is. Paul Newman is watching this match, and he's not on
Excuse me?
Cody's side. What's the matter?
Absolutely nothing. Everything's great.
You know, Cody did say that he was looking for a manager. I think him and Paul Newman would be
What a handsome pair.
a dashing duo.
That guy's a movie star, isn't he?
Since you're on the phone, why don't we just jump right into your wrestling report and such, and then we'll let you go and we'll do Facebook without you.
Can I lay the phone down and you guys, can you hear me?
You can try. Why don't you give it a shot?
Okay.
Oh, boy. It's going to be a disaster. I can already tell.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. That's all right, I guess.
Go ahead.
No, it's your segment. You're gonna read
Read us jokes.
or your wrestling report or whatever. I see Granny has now put the phone back up to her ear.
I'm just, yeah, for now.
Do you have the soaps or anything else, Granny, or are we is that it?
I want to quit for now.
Okay. Well,
No more.
instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe. All right, a few things. So I did talk to someone in AEW. I gotta talk to more people, but this person was unaware of the of them having that same clause, but they said they didn't know for sure. Like, it could be in there. I mean, that's the thing. Like, nobody signs a contract presuming I'm gonna get myself fired in 6 months. I plan on doing something diabolical. Nobody does that. But, sometimes people get an idea as things get going. And you don't want them to cause havoc to try to get to work on the other show. So, that's that. All right. Dynamite. I presume you didn't watch any Dynamite?
Correct. I do not get AEW programming.
I gotta find a way to get this to you. Doesn't Stephanie have some VPN gimmick you can use?
That's for Netflix.
She advertised. All right. I would say that this was a fine show. I don't even know. I'd say, like, by AEW standards, I'm not even sure I would say it was a good show, because their good shows are usually better than this. There was nothing bad on the show. Well, maybe one thing. And it was just kind of 3 hours of there. So the one thing that really I did not like was this opening segment with Renee and Tony and Statlander. Like, it was just so weird. So
It's Tony Storm.
this was weirder than normal.
Aren't they always weird?
No, it was weirder than normal because Renee's sitting there, And she says, okay, well, let's get this thing going. Let's talk about it. And as I think it was Statlander starts talking, and then Statlander starts to take her jacket off or something. And Renee, all of a sudden, she stands up and she throws down her papers and she goes, let's just get this over with, Tony. And I was like, what happened? Like, did I miss a show? Did I miss 7 takes? Like, what happened here? It was so weird. And then Tony launches into the Tony promos now. I mean, this was such a Tony promo that I didn't hear a word she said. It was just the usual, blah, blah, blah. And then they go to Statlander, and Statlander starts cutting this promo about how she's an alien. And, like, now she's doing it like Tony. So it's like so dramatic, and it's like we're some stage play from... It's like I was watching Plan 9 from Outer Space, actually.
So Tony's from a black and white film, and Statlander's from an old sci-fi?
I was like, what in God's name is happening? And then finally, Statlander just goes, is this interview over? And Tony says, yes, I'll meet you in the ring. And then they went to the ring, and they have a brawl. And first, Tony offers her a free shot. But, Statlander's taking it back, and so Tony headbutts her. And then Chris offers her a fair shot, and Tony kisses her and leaves. And, man, when this was over, I was like, I don't care one bit about this match. Like, not one bit. I have no idea what's going on. I like the Tony gimmick, but this segment here, I mean, I was like, is this match over yet? I felt like Statlander. Is this interview over? Is the match over? I did not like this one bit. Did nothing for me. Then we had Hurt Syndicate and GOA. This is the feud that will never end. They've had like 10 matches. They have another one here. Shelton did, in fact, get pinned. And now they're going to have yet another match at the pay-per-view. The last pay-per-view was like a no DQ match. This pay-per-view is a tornado match, which is a different name, but it's the same exact match. All right.
Well, slightly different, but insignificantly different.
So then we had a Moxley Darby segment that appeared to be filmed in the county jail. They're both on one side of the glass, and it looked like Darby was inside the cell, and Moxley was the visitor. But then Pac ended up in the cell with Darby, and he murdered him. The blood splattered all over the glass. He killed this guy, and that led to something later. But I will say the performance of Moxley and Darby was like night and day from that Statlander Tony Storm promo. This was fantastic. And, all of these Moxley angles, I feel like I'm the only one that gets what's going on. But what's happening here is that Moxley, the Darby character, really looks up to Moxley and would like to be united with him. But he does not like this evil version of Jon Moxley.
He does not approve of murder.
He does not approve of the way he's going about doing this. Moxley, on the other hand, is trying to tell Darby, your issue isn't with me. Your issue is with yourself. All of these problems that you have, it's all you. You need to win this battle with yourself. And Darby's talking about how he took this flag to the top of Everest. And it's an AEW flag, of course, because he loves AEW so much. And they both agree, neither of us are ever going to quit. So what are we going to do here? It's like they're putting the match together. You're not going to quit. I'm not going to quit. What are we going to do? That's literally what they said. So then later in the show, Darby comes back out again. He's half dead. And one by one, all of the Death Riders, they kill him. They kill him. They kill him. They kill him. Finally, the babyfaces return. Darby makes his way into the ring, and he's on his knees. He's bleeding, and, he reaches into his pocket, and he pulls out the AEW flag he took to the top of Everest. And he lays the flag on the mat, and he says something like, Moxley, it's not too late to quit. And what I got out of this is Moxley's whole storyline, the whole Death Rider storyline, was that he is the most loyal AEW soldier there is. But he's so disgusted that everybody else is so complacent and lazy that, like, you guys got to step up. You guys got to step up and take me out. I want this place to be better. And, like, if you can't do it, I'm going to kill you. And someone else is going to step up and try. So he's like a baby face, but he's going about it all the wrong way. So now Darby is turning the tables on Moxley. And basically what he's saying is, this I Quit match, I want you to quit being that Jon Moxley. He wants him to go back to being a babyface Jon Moxley. And he wants Jon Moxley to wave the flag of AEW that he took to the top of Everest. None of this was said on television. I'm just telling you what's going on. And Moxley's response is to give him a death rider on the flag. Leave him for dead. So one way or the other, it's pretty clear Darby's winning this weekend. And I think at some point, obviously, Moxley's going to go back to being one of the top baby faces. I don't know if it's going to happen yet. But this is a very, very layered storyline that I think some people get and some people don't.
Has he and Renee ever got that vacation he was supposed to have like
Are
3
you
years ago?
kidding me? Are you
She'll
kidding
get it
me?
now.
Dude, that's never going to happen. Like, he's going to have to get injured to get a vacation. It's just not going to happen.
Well, I would imagine in storyline, assuming he does, if he quits in this, he's going to have to sell near death. Maybe he'll get a vacation.
You know, I had a buddy. Remember when so they did the entire Death Rider storyline, and it led all the way to the Hangman match, and then they had the whole big thing, and Hangman wins, and he vanquishes Jon Moxley or whatever. And I was talking to a friend of his, and I was like, is Moxley going to take time off now that, like, because that was like the whole thing. He had this whole thing in his head to lead all the way to All Out, and then the AEW guy gets to win or whatever. And I knew that, like, there had to be a vacation. He's owed a vacation. And the response that I got, they were like, I asked him, and suffice to say, the answer is no. And apparently there was a lot of profanity involved. Like, why the? So anyway, he's not taking time off.
Man loves his job.
Yeah, he does. Roderick Strong and Claudio. Claudio beat him with an uppercut. Crowd was dead. It was just kind of there. It was a good match, but like no one cared about it. Then we had the Don Cal's birthday party video, which is an incredible video. Hey, you're friends with Don.
I have been for a while, yes.
Is he really 63?
I wouldn't have thought that old, no.
Okay. Because someone
Like,
told me...
he's older than me, but I don't think he's that much.
Yeah, somebody told me the Wikipedia was wrong, but I didn't know. So, surprised Don hasn't said anything about it if the Wikipedia is wrong. Then we had the Mark Davis, Josh Alexander, Hechicero versus Omega in the Jurassic Express. And this was a very good match. And the story was basically, can Kenny trust Jack Perry, who murdered him a year and a half ago, which they've since had to drop that storyline for numerous reasons, and can Jack trust Kenny? And after all that, the answer was yes, they can trust each other. And then the Young Bucks hit the ring afterwards and ran wild on Jurassic Express, and then they made their own comeback, and Jack hit a big moonsault off the top on everybody. Post-match was really good. Sky Blue and Jamie Hayter had a match. It was all right. A little too long. It was fine. And then after Jamie got the win, Tekla cut a promo on her. Told her to bring it. Mercedes did a promo with her 10 belts. So I guess she's about to win 11. So funny.
Oh, I just I was looking at his Wikipedia, and it still has him married to an adult actress, which he's never met.
Oh. So there's a good chance his Wikipedia is incorrect.
Wikipedia is not the most reliable source.
All right. So anyway, Mercedes, they've announced she will be at the pay-per-view, but she has no match. So my guess is someone's going to challenge her. And I don't know who that is. And no, I do not think it is Britt Baker. All right, Ruth Trelistico Mortos versus Joe Hobbs and Shibata. Joe choked out Trelistico. We had 4 post-match schmazzes on this show, which was probably too many. And we had another one here with Joe and Hangman, and then Joe ended up handing him the belt and leaving. We had Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly versus Wheeler and Daniel Garcia, which Daniel pinned Kyle. And then we had yet another beatdown, and that led to the segment with Moxley and Darby. Megan Bayne actually cut a promo, And I think she needs to cut promos every now and then. She's not a great promo. It would be best if she had someone who normally talked for her and then she had to just say a few things here and there. But this led to another big brawl with Jet Speed and Willow and FTR and the whole shebang. And then Megan Bayne beat Harley Cameron in a match which I very much thought over-delivered. This was a good match. It was very well put together. They gave Harley a lot, and the people really got into it, and this was not a great crowd, and it was good. We had an acclaimed promo. This is the worst feud of the year. I can't think of anything close. Nothing close. I mean, it is an atrocity. And then we had Kyle Fletcher, Rocky Romero, and Lance Archer versus Mark Briscoe and Brodito. And, of course, you know, it's just like New Japan. As soon as you see Rocky Romero's in the match, you know the finish, and you know he's getting pinned. And that's exactly what happened. And then we had another post-match brawl, and Okada laid out Bandito to set up the tag team match coming up the pay-per-view. So it was kind of a by the numbers. It was by Dynamite standards, it was below average. There were certainly no bad matches. You know, everything was good. But there was also no great match. So sort of kind of just there. So the pay-per-view is Adam Page and Samoa Joe AW title, Statlander and Tony women's title, Moxley and Darby I Quit, Kyle Fletcher and Mark Briscoe TNT title, Brody and Bandito against Okada and Takeshita, the Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express, $500,000 on the line, Hurt Syndicate versus The Demand, Jamie Hayter and Tekla, Mercedes appears, and then the tailgate brawl is FTR and Jet Speed, Willow and Harley versus Megan and Penelope, Conglomeration versus Death Riders, and Eddie Kingston and Hook versus TBA. I got it all out, Excalibur. Back in a moment. Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Granny, how are you feeling?
I'm good. Set up an exercise program.
What kind of exercises are you doing?
Well, for one thing, just sitting.
I got that one
me?
down.
Kick my
Sounds like
feet.
my exercise program.
Your exercise is just sitting.
Who was the most inspiring person you have ever met?
Granny of late.
Fair enough, yeah.
Yeah.
I got nothing better.
I'll have to say myself.
Okay. What's the best part about having a massive heart attack?
Not dying, I guess.
There you go. Good answer.
Jeez, what a question.
Which vegetable would you send to outer space for aliens to try?
Broccoli.
How
was
do you
a
have that so quickly?
ridiculously fast answer.
You've thought about this before.
It was at WrestleMania, the one in Phoenix. I can't remember which one.
I gotta go. I have to sneeze. Bye.
Okay, bye, Granny. Granny laid on the guilt trip to end all guilt trips. Sorry, I wrote. Forgot we going 30 minutes late. And then you began. Gee, thanks. 30 minutes late. Was not told. Aggravating. I guess my time doesn't mean anything. Jeez.
Wow.
Golly. You happy, Granny? You made me so angry. You're over there snickering, laughing at what you've done. God.
Good.
You're going to have a heart attack
Anything
like
else?
Granny.
Yeah.
Goody, goody.
Goody goody, she says. The news of you having a
What
Cardiac
medication
arrest.
did they give you? To make the heart blacker? You enjoying yourself, quietly giggling over there? All right, Granny. What have you got today?
Nothing.
All right, we'll see you later.
You better have something after all that.
Liv Morgan versus Ray Ripley. Just recently.
That's the date.
You told me that you watched CM Punk and Drew and didn't watch any more of the show, but this was on the show.
I know. I watched this one. Because I wanted to see what happened with Dominic. In which Midwestern city did rapper Eminem grow up?
Detroit.
Eminem?
8 Mile.
Okay, we had a new segment. Granny reads rapper names. That's
I'm an M.
I am an M.
Eminem.
Eminem.
Yep.
Eminem.
Ryan Adams covered an entire Taylor Swift album. What is the name of that album?
Ryan Adams.
1989.
Yeah.
That's the right answer, dum-dum.
Excuse me.
Okay, now I'll quit picking on Brian and go away.
Thanks, Granny. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Lance Storm is joining us. Hey, tonight on the Bryan and Vinny Show, we got 90 minutes to talk about AEW and NXT. And hopefully I have a lot more news on a lot of things by then, so you should check it out, the Bryan and Vinny Show at WrestlingObserver.com. WrestlingObserver.com gets you all of the podcasts we've ever done. 15,000 shows dating back to 2005. The Bryan and Vinny Show, Observer Radio, Observer Live, all of the shows on the site, every single one of them's up there, mostly. And then, we'll do that tonight. You can also subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Just put the word behind F4W Online. So F4WOnline.com/Apple, F4WOnline.com/Spotify, F4WOnline.com/YouTube. All three of those, $9.99 a month. And there's like 85 shows every month, all between an hour and a half long. And all of the news is there first, and they're a lot of fun. Especially that Tuesday show where we review TNA wrestling from 20 years ago this week. Golly.
The Dudley funeral the week they retired.
That was so amazing that I watched the Dudleys retire on a TNA pay-per-view, and then I watched a show from 20 years prior to the week, and it was a funeral for the Dudleys. It's like, how?
TNA Wrestling's Instagram shared the funeral segment this week.
Oh, my God. It's so crazy when we go back and watch these shows. It's just like, I must live in a simulation of some sort. But anyway, we got to wrap it up. Want to thank you all for listening. I'll be back later on tonight with Vinny. Back here tomorrow, Fun Friday with Lance. That's it. We'll talk to you next time, Wrestling Observer Live.